Welcome back to Not So Grand Garage. Tonight I'm out in the fuel shed again, and I've got my big drum full because my truck's running a little low on fuel. But before I run that in the morning, I would like to get our first small batch test knocked out and out of the way. Now the biggest question I've gotten, or at least the question I get most often, is if filters really do their job. Is all this stuff really necessary? So first up, we're going to run a 5-gallon batch through a 1 micron bag filter. I might even run it through twice, and then we will get it up in that bucket and run it through the centrifuge, see what it missed. So here's our bag filter. It's a Pentair 1 micron filter, 4-inch up top, 20-inch overall. Should be a relatively good filter. So this is what we're gonna give. We're gonna give it a shot. See how it works. I am not set up to use bag filters or filters in general, so this might be a little bit of a messy endeavor, but that's okay. I think what I'm gonna do is use this bucket right here, which all this bucket has contained is the first run of centrifuged oil through the small batch rig. So I think I'm gonna have to do this all by hand. I'm going to pump oil into the top of this, into this bucket. It's probably gonna take a little bit. I don't know how quickly oil will flow through these bags, and it's getting kind of cool out. Tomorrow it's supposed to be down in the 20s, so I would like to get this part of it at least done tonight. So yeah, let's see how big of a mess I can make. So our oil stock is going to be coming from this tote over here, which is the same tote we pulled from for our initial test run. It'll be pumped off the top, just like it was for the initial test run, so no excess moisture or any sludge that's been settling in the bottom. And basically, I think how I'm going to do this is either I'm going to just hold this, or I may rig something up to where I can hang it from the ceiling. Looks like there's a little tab in here I could probably hang it from, a little bit of tie wire, and then just slowly pump oil into the top of this. And I may even just run it through twice. I'd have to find another bucket that's clean. But yeah, give it its best shot at getting this clean, and then we'll run it through the centrifuge. But anyways, I'm gonna see what I can find to, I think, hang this up. That's probably gonna be the easiest thing, so let me do that. So we've got our pump height set roughly, and we're all set up, so let's try it out. Make sure we're not spilling oil everywhere. No, looks like it's coming out pretty well out the center of the bag. Bag swung back a little bit. Here, I'll just hold it out like so. So she's pretty well full right now, but not a super fast process, but I'm gonna run it through. I'll probably leave the camera going just so you guys can, I'll speed it up a little bit on the actual video, but yeah, You'll be able to see, fill the bucket up using this method, and then we'll transfer it around. We're getting there, slowly but surely. Gonna let this finish draining down, and we'll call it, because I'm gonna have to physically pick this bucket up and manually pour it in that bucket up there from a ladder. So I don't want to make it too sketchy, and I don't have a good way of running this through twice currently, so not gonna do it for the first test. We may revisit that later. We'll just see. I don't know how most people are doing this, so just kind of winging it, but yeah. So we got our first pass through the 1 micron bag filter, just about done. And I'm not gonna shut the camera off. I'll set it up, and you guys can watch me make a giant mess trying to pour it in that bucket up there from a ladder here in just a minute. Go on and bring you up here and show you inside the bucket real quick, so we can make sure there's no sludge or anything in the bottom. Very little oil left in the bottom from the first run. Okay, here we have it. We've got our bucket dumped into that one up there. So now I'm going to get the system ready for this batch. I will say I've already drained the heater and got as much oil out of these lines as I can down into that bucket down there. So all of the oil that will be in this system will be what has ran through that 1 micron filter bag. I am going to I've got to pull the bowl out of the centrifuge and get it cleaned up yet. So for that, I'm gonna go on and shut this off and get everything cleaned up. We'll get some weights on the bowl empty, and then we'll get this process started. Well, got our bowl out of the ultrasonic, got it cleaned up good. We'll go on and get a quick weight off of it. Let's see here. Zero this out, pounds and ounces. Straight on. We are 3 pounds. Here, I'm gonna scoot this back a little bit so you can actually see it. 3 pounds, 13.15 ounces. So we'll go on and get that back up in place and get the height set and get ready to run a batch. Okay, got our bowl back in, got it set, got the height set, got everything snugged down. So I'm gonna go on and just kind of rest this over here a little bit. And I'm gonna turn this valve on, make sure this is closed. But I'm gonna turn this valve up here on and let this heater fill up. Got all the oil flowing over here. So we're gonna wait until we get a trickle out of this. And I'm gonna go on and turn the heater on. I'll shut that valve back off. I'll let the heater come up to temperature. There we go. Now that I shut that valve off, I'm gonna put power to this heater, let it come up to temperature, and then we'll spin the centrifuge up and let it run this small batch. That way we can see just how good of a job those 1 micron filter bags do. We are starting to come up to temperature here. So I'm gonna go on and power the centrifuge on, spin it up, and then we'll start letting oil flow. Oil is flowing. Got about half open on the valve. And there we go. And it's probably hard to tell. We've got about the same size stream as we had the other night on the test run. So I'm gonna let this run just a little bit into this bucket down here. And then I think I will go on and just open this valve up and let it dump into this tank right here. Because, well, it's clean. And I know for a fact I don't get 55 gallons in that drum up there. So I won't be overfilling the drum. Might as well use it. Well, I'm gonna open the valve up down here. So we're gonna be dumping that oil into the finished drum. And as it was designed, it's tapered off flow over here. So should be good. I'm gonna go on and let this run. Take approximately an hour, maybe a little longer, and then we'll come out and check out the results. We'll pull the bowl out of the centrifuge, get a final weight on it, and go from there. Keep in mind, this is only 4.5, 5 gallons in this batch, so it will not be anywhere near as much as was in the big drums when we saw how much sludge built up in the other test videos. But yeah. Should tell us what's going on, and at least tell us if this filter process is working, or just how much stuff's making it through. So the batch is done. Let's go on and crack this open. This one back here. Let's see. Okay. I'm gonna have to climb up here a little bit. So, hang on just a second. Okay. I can say right off the bat that this tote over here that we've been pulling from for these last two batches seems to be substantially drier than that tote there was. On the first test batch of the system, I noticed we weren't getting much sludge or anything like that on the bottom of the bowl. But the real test is what do we have against the wall. It is substantially less than the first batch was. That is for sure. And there is some, obviously, but it's nowhere near a 1/4 inch thick. I'd say probably, half. And this was a slightly smaller batch than the test run was, but not substantially. But yeah, I'm impressed by that. So I'm gonna go on and pop that out and get a weight on it. I didn't scrape much out of it, but yeah, let's do that real quick. Put a towel down this time. Go on and zero it out with the paper towel on it. Up. And back down. So we're at 3 pounds, 14 ounces even. 14.05. 14 even. So it's fluctuating back and forth a little bit. We'll call it 3 pounds, 14 ounces. So obviously, there was not very much material in the bowl after this run. Now, keep in mind, again, this is only 4.5 gallons, something like that. Not quite 5 gallons. But, yeah, the 1 micron bag filters seem to work really well. Now, big thing to keep in mind is water. Like I said, that's dry. It has, it's not been showing much signs of having moisture as far as sludge buildup in the bowl like we got with that tote back there. So the bag filters definitely will not remove water. There's no way they can. So you would need to come up with a way to remove water, whether it be with heat or settling for long periods of time, so on and so forth. I was getting a lot of water vapor out of the vent, but not much buildup in the bowl. So maybe it's something to do with this P-trap and this vent change. But yeah, I did run it at the same temperature I ran the last batch. But yeah, it worked pretty well. There was still material in the bowl, which I figured there would be. Honestly, I thought there was going to be quite a bit more. But hey. Okay, so, is it an option? Sure. I think it works fairly well. Would I personally rely on it? Probably not. Reason being is I also don't know how clean this oil was. I mean, I didn't get very much out of the test batch, but it was very obvious that we got less after running it through the 1 micron filter. So it's definitely removing material and cleaning the oil, so it is doing its job. Maybe you can get away with it. I don't know. You would definitely need a way to dewater it. That would be very important. So obviously you can't just use the bag filter alone, but with some settling, with some other dewatering practices, and the 1 micron bag filter, maybe multiple passes through a 1 micron bag filter, or even a finer bag filter if you can find them. It's got potential to be a fairly cheap, inexpensive setup. Would I do it long term? No. If you're going to be doing this stuff long term, invest in the centrifuge. It'll be cheaper in the long run because you're not replacing filters all the time. I have no idea how long that bag filter is going to last, but I will use it on some other oil, not just this tote. I may pull some from one of the totes outside that I know is more motor oil. I think this tote here has a lot of hydraulic oil in it, which is relatively clean. So yeah, I'm going to do some more testing on it, but as it stands right now, I'm impressed. But yeah, anyways, I'm going to wrap this up. I got my batch of fuel to get running. So yeah, well, this is the next evening. I finished up my main fuel run, 2 full passes on the 50-gallon batch, and yeah, I came out here to check the centrifuge out, and I've got a little interesting discovery. So hang on just a second. So this is after 2 full runs on a 50-gallon batch of that same oil, and I'm not sure if you can see it or not, but you can still see my scrape marks in the bowl, right? This oil was just really clean coming out of that tote. So yeah, it looks as if there's almost the same amount of sludge after this run as there was on the 5-gallon test pass using the 1 micron filter. So that makes this test a little inconclusive. I'm not so sure now. I'm not sure if it removed anything more, because we're catching just as much centrifuge. See, we're catching just as much sludge, and this is after 2 full passes on a 50-gallon batch. I mean, there's some solids. I mean, most of it's pretty solid, which is interesting, but not a heavy sludge like we were seeing on from that tote over there. So I think we're gonna have to do a bit more testing on that bag filter, because I can't call it now, because it looks like that bag filter did little to nothing in comparison to just the straight run without using a filter at all. So yeah, we're gonna call this part 1, and for part 2 I'm going to pull 5 gallons of oil out of one of my totes outside that I know will be dirtier than what this stuff here is. It's not been settling as long, and we'll do 2 passes and we'll see what we get. I may run just an initial pass on it just to see how much sludge we get with just the centrifuge, and then we'll run the oil, another 5-gallon batch, through the sock filter or the bag filter, whatever you want to call it. Then run it through the centrifuge and take a comparison that way. I want to be as thorough as we can, so we don't mislead anybody. I don't want to tell somebody that, yeah, this bag filter is the way to go if you don't want to swing for a centrifuge right now. But as it stands, it doesn't look like that's the case. So it's kind of surprising, and I didn't think that this oil would be that clean. But yeah, we'll see what we come up with in part 2. So stay tuned for that. With all that said, we'll get going on part 2 of this, because I really want to find out what's going on. So we'll get going on that here in the next couple days. Right now it's in the 20s, and pumping straight oil out of those containers out there is going to be a pain. So it's supposed to warm up a little bit this week, so we'll rerun this test then and go from there. But yeah, I do have SuperThanks enabled on my channel. You can see the little icon down below the video. If you like what I'm doing and you want to help me out as far as being able to do more of these tests, purchasing the filters and stuff like that, the different filter elements. I know I've got several people requesting certain things, so I'll be picking up stuff for that. If you want to throw a couple extra dollars my way to help me with that, I'd appreciate it. But if not, no big deal. And yeah, with that said, if you've got any comments, complaints, suggestions, anything like that, throw them in the comment section below. I'll do what I can to answer and do what I can to do more tests here in the near future for you guys. If you haven't already, please subscribe. We appreciate you watching.